Hello and a warm welcome to Federal Special Program Capital Beat. 5 months long civil war like situation in Manipur continues. It's more than 5 months now. 175 people have been killed, 50,000 have been displaced, but incidents of violence and terror have refused to die down. Now, there are reports of a fresh bout of violence, especially after there was news of two Meitei students who were abducted and killed. Their pictures surfaced on the social media. Now, the students are out on the street protesting and also asking for the justice for these two teenagers. In late last evening development, there were reports that Chief Minister Biren Singh's ancestral home was attacked by a mob. Now, the $1 million question right now that is Manipur beyond repair now? Have the things gone totally out of control where neither the central government nor the state government can really resolve this crisis? Joining me now is a very special panel. I'm joined by retired Lieutenant General Himalay Konsum. So thank you so much for joining on the Federal. We also have Bablu Loitung Bam, who's a renowned social activist. Thank you, Bablu, so much for joining. We have Suhas Chakma, who is the director of the Rights and Risk Analysis Group. Thank you, Suhas. And we have the editor for the Federal, Samir Purkasta, who covers the entire Northeast region. Thank you so much, Samir, for joining. And let me begin discussion with Lieutenant General Consum. And I really want to know from you, sir, that what is happening, and has Manipur gone beyond control now? Has it reached a point of no return?
Thank you very much for inviting me, and also what a pleasure to see the personalities in the panel. It's some of whom I have, all of whom I have a lot of respect for. To begin with, to your question, is it a gone case or something? No, no. I think we have. Uh, we have to look forward. We have to be positive and make sure that we come back to normalcy as early as possible. The reason why it is taking so long, you mentioned about over nearly 5 months now, is that thousands of weapons are still floating around in the society on both sides, and my estimate will be approximately anything between 4,000 to 5,000 weapons on both the sides, and as many fighters as well. So, as long as people have guns, there will be some kind of a violence. The second reason, to my understanding, is that involvement or either moral support or even physical support of external elements. When I say external elements, it can be the world media, it can be inimical forces outside the country, within the country, all those who don't want to see end. I mean, that is the second point. And the third point is both the groups are looking at it as an inflection point. I mean, it is now or never. One group feels that it is the time to preserve what we believe is Manipur. The other group feels some other way. And last but not the least, I would say that you mentioned about state and the central government. The strategy that they have been following, if there is any, uh, if it has not worked in 5 months, maybe it may require a review. In 5 months, if such kind of a violence continues, such kind of unrest, and such kind of a near total failure of law and order to bring the state together, then there may be a review required for the strategy from the state, and more so from the center.
No,
Thank
but
you.
if I may interrupt you, General Concern, you made an important point that there is a need to review the situation and then strategize further. But do you see the political will at all to review the situation? as far as the state government is concerned and also the central government is concerned. Both are sitting pretty, both are just watching as if, they're just allowing things to happen. They are allowing things to worsen. That is the kind of impression which is going.
Uh, I won't go to the extent that you made a statement they are allowing it to happen. That I would like to dispute that, because I don't think any sane uh, government or anyone who is patriot will like this to go on. I mean, that is something that I would like to tell you. However, the
True.
issue that needs to be addressed, is that whatever I had some interaction both at the center and state authority, those decision makers, they are very keen to resolve this. But the thing is that they are not finding a way out. Therefore, they need to review the strategy. But I definitely won't go along with you that they are allowing it to happen.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, okay, sir. I'll come back to you. Now let me come to Bablu. Bablu, I really want to know from you that now this fresh bout of violence which we see, especially after the two Meitei teenagers were abducted and they were murdered. So far, the people who were killed were from the Kuki community. Now, for the first time, we've seen the two teenagers from the Meitei community have been killed. Now, does this mean that on the ground, even the Meitei community is losing the trust, and there is some kind of a trust deficit between the state government, and specifically to talk about is the Chief Minister Biren Singh, who all this while was known to be having confidence of the Meitei community. Now, is he losing confidence of the Meitei community as well?
Before that, I'll just small correction, Nilu. There, it's not that the first time in the Meitei, there are casualties from the Meitei community side.
Okay.
In this conflict, many even earlier, many people from the community were killed.
All right. All right. Okay. 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 Thanks. Thanks.
Just
Thanks for
to
connecting. Yes.
keep the
Yeah.
record straight.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Okay, Bablu. Yes.
Thank you, Samirji, for that clarification. That was going to be my first point, but having dealt with already, let me go to the question of the way things are handled and why the escalation is happening. I like the phrase the General Consum have said, the need to change strategy, if there is any. I want to bold and underline and italize that word, if there is any. That is the problem. You see, what has happened in the last few days? Internet was open. I mean, if you are a reasonably mindful person, you know that these things are going to come out. And these kind of videos videos and photos are going to come out. You have to be prepared about it. And how do you prepare? Things have come, people are angry. Obviously, when your classmates are slaughtered and found headless, you will be angry and children will be protesting it. It is a fundamental right of every citizen of this country to go for peaceful assembly without using arms. And that was what the students have done. 6 students union went together, took a decision at how ground that they are going to do. This would be a totally non-violent, was a part of their decision. And they did it. They were peacefully marching. And then all of a sudden, this very strong repression has come. You have not, I mean, when you want to disperse an unlawful assembly, you have to first announce by the magistrate that this is an unlawful announce. Within such and such time, you should disperse. And then you should use non-lethal weapons. I mean, maybe some lathi charge, maybe cannon. But you went straight with all this mock bombs and what you call this uh, uh, tear gas cells, and then all this what you call those splinter bombs.
Pellet guns.
Yeah, pellet guns. For the first time in Manipur, you're using pellet guns on children, for heaven's sake, in uniform, doing totally peaceful this thing. So either the government is totally not thinking in terms of the law and legal framework in which you have to operate, or you are deliberately provoking children to get angry and get annoyed. And you see the end result yesterday, last night, even though the media is forced not to report it, it was till 2 a.m. in the morning that the angry people were trying to charge at the chief minister's house. I got it from the horse's mouth. I have friends around the chief minister's house, and that is the anger with which people have come. Earlier, the conception was that Cookies are angry against the government, Meiteis are with him. But I think yesterday's message was loud and clear. And especially when you see all these innocent children killed, that is heartbreaking. And then you see all these pellet guns, more than 70 of them, into somebody's skull. For what? For protesting and exercising your constitutional right as a citizen of this country, for killing your own buddies in your class. Is this the treatment that you want to mete out to your citizen? This was not a situation of grave provocation. I mean, if rapid action force has to be used, it should have been used in the first week of May when people were slaughtering each other. There, you did nothing. You just let the fire burn. And now, when people are ordinary people, most of them girls in school uniforms, doing a peaceful march, it is quite evident. Nobody was using arms. Nobody was using violent slogans. They were asking for justice. And you use this kind of force, either they are totally stupid and not thinking, or they are deliberately provoking people in the impulse to get angry and move the whole epicenter of violence from the periphery to impulse. And so we are in a situation where I think normal course of governance is not happening in Manipur. There is either a total negligence and total abdication of the responsibility to govern, or you are deliberately provoking it. I know these are strong words, but you can only make sense of what is happening between these two theories. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense.
Right. I'm glad that you've explained that beautifully and in very strong words. But Suhas, if I may ask you, we saw one high point in the Manipur violence when two women were paraded naked, and now again we are seeing a second high point of after these pictures of the two Meitei teenagers surfaced on the social media, and now again there is a fresh bout of violence. Now, is the government, as what Bablu said, that the government is deliberately provoking it? How do you see this situation and the second round of violence which we are seeing on the streets? As far as the students are concerned, all sections of the society, it seems that they are up and against the Biren Singh government, but the center is just not saying anything. Forget the Prime Minister, forget what Amit Shah has to say, forget what Ajit Doval have to say. It seems that Manipur is just not on their radar. But how would you see this fresh bout of violence which has just taken place in Manipur? Yes.
Well, I think the government has stopped functioning from 5th May onwards, when the central government decided to impose Article 355. Then they further gave no clarity whether they imposed 355 or not. So the day it was announced, I think it was on 6th of May, that they are going to impose 355. From that day onwards, they have lost the governance, or the edifice of the structure did not exist in terms of operationalization, in terms of monitoring, in terms of supervising the activities. So people have been functioning in a way on their own. And if there was no cogent response, which Bablu said should have been there, it's practically because nobody listens to anybody. I would like to believe, and I don't think I'm wrong, that I don't think the orders issued by the authorities, including from the chief minister and including the home minister, I don't think it goes or beyond the offices of the staff. There are security officials who are fearful of their life if they want to go out, exactly because General Singh had mentioned everybody is armed to the teeth. So the governance had stopped on 5th or 6th of May, and it continues as on date. The state doesn't exist. It's a lawless country like anywhere else, whether you think about Somalia, former Yugoslavia, or whatever. Law doesn't exist. So that's, I think, one aspect. The second aspect, I will say, I think the barbaric murder of these two children, and I felt so sad each time when I look at these children. It reminds me of my own children. When you look at their faces, so innocent, and as if life is going to come out. They are still around, and they are not dead. So with that kind of an image, of course, people will be very angry. So the bet which the BJP took, that we have to support Biren Singh in one hand, keep the IB director and some other officials engaged with the cookies, so that we have the support of the cookies as well as the Meiteis. I think yesterday, or since the confirmation of the mother of these two children came out, it's lost. It burst out. It no longer exists. So I think it's Biren Singh too in the Epishad, where he doesn't have support of anybody. The only reason why he is surviving, and the only reason why he is surviving, is the Ministry of Home Affairs, the officials who are in charge of the decision making, they know it very well, because people are armed to the teeth, and those who are armed, they are not children, and arms are not written like that. Even if you have to conduct combing operations, it will lead to casualties. So at this point of time, if you take the responsibility by imposing governor's rule, so the responsibility will come on the governor. And I am sorry to say,
Has what you are saying, and if I may ask you, that is it a situation where neither the central government nor the state government can now control the casualties? More and more casualties will happen, and they will just look like bystanders.
they have been bystander, bystanders for the last 5 months. They shall remain bystanders, for a long period of time to come, because irrespective of, it's very easy for us to say there should be solution, but there are no solutions. I mean, why would the Meiteis agree to the, to any challenge to their territorial integrity, whatever they like? The other group, they will not, negotiate on that. So there is no solution on the political demands. So what requires is the law and order situation back to the status quo, and that requires somebody taking the responsibility. But we are in a situation, if you impose president's rule, it has to, first of all, you have to change the governor, because the current governor is not somebody who can impose or administer under a president's rule, given the situation which we have. You require somebody who little bit more security expertise. And if that person fails, it immediately comes to the home minister and the prime minister, and they don't want to take the responsibility. So all of us, if you look at the demands of all the opposition parties, look at the demands of the civil society, anybody, what is the demand? Remove the chief minister, the home minister and prime minister should speak out. So they know it very well. If you take the responsibility, you will be the next fall guy. So let it continue. It doesn't matter. Manipur doesn't matter. Manipuris do not matter. People in Manipur do not matter. Let them kill themselves. And at certain point of time, they will be tired. They may come back to the situation. But the only problem is, even when the Nagas and Kukis fought in 92, 93, 94, they were not so much armed to the teeth like today. And at that point of time, there was no information technology. So today, even if the internet is not working, as I had said earlier, people are sharing the pictures through the Bluetooth. So what can you do about that? You can't stop that. So because every picture comes out, it basically evokes emotion, and people react to it. There are certain individuals, they turn themselves into animals rather than human beings. These incidents or this kind of killings will continue to come after 15 days, after 1 month, and then you will see spate of violence from both sides. Please remember, when the CBI inquiry was ordered, it was very unfortunate that the tribal groups have opposed. Why did you order, CBI inquiry quickly? That's uncalled for. There should be inquiry irrespective of whoever is killed. And the sad thing is, there are two things which you are not going to get any result. You are not going to arrest anybody for the killing of these two boys, because the pictures have not come out, and insurgent groups are not somebody like civilians. You can go home and pick them up. So that's one issue. The second issue, the inquiry which they started yesterday, that will not lead to anywhere, because if you take actions, then the central security forces or those who use the firearm, they'll say no, then we are not going to do any law enforcement if we are subject to further scrutiny. So if you are not able to deliver on this within a month's time, then people will say, okay, Biren Singh is no longer defending even the rights of the Meiteis. So his story is over.
Okay. So now I'll come to Samir. That Samir, if Biren Singh's story is over, then why is there no removal of Biren Singh? Has Manipur become totally politically insignificant? that they will allow Biren Singh to continue no matter how many wrongs he does, no matter how many times he fails to control the administration, to control the situation? What is really happening? Is it the worst kind of a situation which Manipur is seeing, witnessing right now these days?
Yeah, definitely. Why the center or BJP is allowing Biren Singh to continue? That's that's a very perplexed this thing. It's a $1 million question. It has been foxing everyone as to what is their thinking. Why they are continuing with the present regime despite this utter failure, and so as Suhas pointed out, one of the reason could be they don't want the center now don't want to take the responsibility. So that could be one reason why they are not taking any action. But the longer they continue with this regime, the BJP is losing popularity even in the valley, and this latest bout of violence has manifested that BJP is fast losing ground. The party's district office in Thobal was attacked. Party president, state president Sarda Devi's residence was attacked. There were attempts to storm into the private residence of chief minister in his home constituency. There were another yesterday last night. There were another parallel march. This group they were also tried to march to the chief minister's official residence in Imphal, capital city Imphal. So the situation is aggravating, and the more this the center and the state government allow this situation to linger, it will become more difficult to solve. They are getting tangled into their own follies, and so as the things as if the things are allowed to continue this way, then after certain point there will be no reconciliation, because this kind of incident there will be more such violence, and the more violence lead to hardening of the stands from the both the communities, and the already deep seated divide will be further widened. So we immediately need some reconciliation process to start, but unfortunately the state government, neither the state government nor the center is clueless how to do it. They had tried track two negotiations, and roping in various neutral communities like Nagas, the Pangas, the Meitei Muslims, who are called Pangals. So then they also use some senior, very respected citizens of the state to to work out some kind of solution, but nothing has so far worked out. And amidst this, if you see the government's policy is all patchwork, and and they try to only control the narrative. The problem with the BJP is that BJP is too too focused on how to control narrative, how to win election. Uh, so, and this kind of thing for small span of time is fine, but for this kind of complex problem, if you concentrate all the time in narrative management, then it's backfired. And what we are witnessing in the past 2 3 days over following the brutal killing of the two teenager, uh, this uh, narrative management going wrong.
Right.
And so for the first time, this protest, for the first time we had seen the protest directed towards the state government, primarily its failure, its inaction. So and and to control it, what the state authority did, they used excess force. because it
Right.
was a knee-jerk reaction. Because certainly
Absolutely. Yeah.
they found that their narrative is not working.
Right. Samir, I just want to interrupt you because the viewers who are watching this show, and before I go to General Consum, I would like to show a letter which Samir shared with me, and that is a letter by the Manipur state government. And it is signed by the DGP of Manipur.
Basically, this letter is talking about the last night. DGP had formed a committee
Hmm.
headed by one IGP level officer to
Right.
probe these allegations of excesses.
Right.
And this is finally, after lots of hue and cry, lots of protest and all the state government. This is in fact in a way admission of something went wrong,
Hmm.
and this allegations of pellet guns being used, this is very serious. You can't use
Absolutely.
this kind of force against your own students, and those students are mostly teenagers, 17, 18 years of age, and they are and they were unarmed, as Bablu
Right.
pointed out. So this kind of use of force against your
Right.
own students, it's
So,
unacceptable. And
exactly.
and if this allegation of pellet guns being used, if it is true, it's really very serious. We know how
Absolutely.
when this kind of the weapon was used in
Right.
Jammu and Kashmir, what kind of reaction it evoked.
Right. Now, let me come to General Consum. We'll try and wait if that letter opens. Otherwise, but the big question right now, General Consum, is that of course there is a disintegration, a political disintegration, which we are seeing. The structures seem to look completely demolished, where the CM is just not in a position to act, or he's willing to act, if I may say. But what about the security forces? Where are they going wrong? Now we are seeing that the security forces, the state police, the central security forces, they are pitted against each other. In a situation like this, uh, can the central forces really come take things in command, try and put things together, even if there are no orders politically from the center or the state government? Can they not act on their own? Because they also look very helpless at this point of time. Yes, General Counsel.
You have raised a very interesting, actually, question about the security forces. My understanding is that I mentioned it earlier in my opening this thing also, that there has to be a strategy. All forces or all elements of the state, they operate in a strategy. I really don't know what strategy is, and also you have to identify what the problem is.
So this is the letter, and this is the order by the Director General of Police, which Samir was just explaining. And it's written that there have been various reports, allegations of use of excess force by the security forces during maintenance of law and order situations in the last few days in Imphal area. To verify such complaints, allegations, a committee is being formed to look into the issues and submit the report at the earliest. And this committee is going to be headed by Sri K. Jayanta Singh, IGP Admin, Manipur, and assisted by Sri Sanatomba Singh, who is the AAIG admin at the PHQ. And this letter is signed by Rajiv Singh, who's the Director General of Police. Yes, General Consum, you were saying something. Just wanted to read out that letter for the viewers. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead, General Consum.
I was saying that first you have to identify the problem. After 5 months, I have a feeling that people are still confused whether it is a ethnic violence, whether it is a law and order problem, or whether it's a communal violence. Some people classify all kinds of, they attribute all kinds of, definitions
No,
to
but
what
is
is
it not
happening.
all?
So
Is
unless
it not all what you're saying? It's an ethnic violence, a communal violence, law and order situation. Is it not all encompassed in one now?
So what I'm saying is that you have to be very specific. I'm answering to your involvement of the military, the security forces. You know, when you identify the problem, then you strategize how you employ the instruments of the state. In that, the security forces are one part of the instruments of the state. And as you correctly said, most of the pillars of the state have crumbled now. Therefore, security forces assumes significance. In that, as you are aware, that unified headquarters is chaired by the security advisor. I'm not very. I was ex officio security advisor to government of Jammu and Kashmir when I was the corps commander there. And normally that is chaired by either the governor or the chief minister. So in this, I say that the chair has the responsibility to give the strategy, to provide the strategy. So that part I'm not aware what strategy is that has been given. But the security forces, as you know, there are multiple security forces operating, of which almost half, almost close to 45% are Manipur police itself, which is already divided into on communal lines from the beginning, right from the beginning. Now you come the Central Armed Police Force. Central Armed Police Force, as I understand, they appear to be little unfamiliar with the situation, which is very, very peculiar to Manipur, or even I'll say northeastern region. You cannot apply one particular way of dealing with things in another place. You cannot, actually do that. So I think that
Basically,
kind
you
of
are hinting at a unified command. You are hinting at a unified command which is not present. It's totally absent.
at least on paper, the unified headquarters is existing under the chairmanship of the security advisor. So now comes the Assam Rifles and Army, which is under Assam Rifles and Army. Again, I'm not aware about what the directions are. What are the what are the directions that have been given? But they are operating under extremely difficult conditions, which is, as you yourself said, all issues combined. You're saying communal and conflict of all time, including, let me tell you, including external national security issues now. I don't look at it anymore within, a problem of Manipur or problem of it's got
Right.
a large national security dimension as of now. So therefore, it has to be all comprehensive and at the national level now. It's got multiple stakes now, and the center has to take lead. That's what I would like to put across, that it is a multifaceted kind of problem now, and it has to be dealt with accordingly.
Absolutely. And you have said that center needs to be proactive in this. But Bablu, if I may come to you, and now I'm coming for the concluding comments to all the three of you, Bablu, Suhas, and Samir, one by one. Bablu, I'll come to you first. Now, there are two things. First is the stability of the state. How do you restore the stability of the state? And the second question, of course, is the political disintegration which has happened. Now, looking at the way the things are unfolding and manifesting in the state, uh, do you see any probability of Manipur getting back to normalcy, or is it going to worsen further and further?
Nilu, if I have a chance, the first thing I'm going to do, if if God comes and asks what is that you need to do, we need to replace the chief minister of Manipur. 50% of the problem would be solved then. Let there be another person where the cookies can initiate a dialogue. Let the dialogue process start. Solutions may not come so immediately, but some way out will come. We have given 5 good months to the Honorable Chief Minister. He has failed miserably. It is time for Mr. Biren Singh to go back home and focus there. He has failed. He has only escalated the situation. The second point that I want to tell God, if he comes, is that the problem of Manipur is not about ethnicity. The problem is about 50,000 crore drug that is brought out every year. And the harvesting season is starting in November for Churachandpur. It will continue till February in Saikul area. and people have already lined up to take this money. 50,000 crore is a lot of money because Manipur's total budget is hardly 37,000 crore. That is the big elephant. If you don't remove that, it could be one excuse or the other. Why are you not targeting and destroying this poppy crop? The harvesting season is starting. So what you are seeing today, why violence is provoked in Imphal today, is to distract the attention to Imphal Valley now, so that the harvesting can take place comfortably in the hills. I think the big elephant is poppy economy, the whole narcotic economy,
Right.
which it's not just one ethnicity which is gaining, but the higher you go in the echelon of power, the bigger is your gain, and therefore that is why perpetuation of Manipur problem is so important for
All
them,
right.
and they do not let it go until the harvest is over. I might
All right.
sound provocative, but please
Right.
prove me wrong if I am.
Right. So what you're saying is very, very clear. The narcotic economy and the two reasons which Bablu has pointed out, Samir, and if I'm going to come to you and ask you that if it is so easy for us to discuss and identify that, look, this is where the real problem is. Why is Biren Singh or why is Center not able to do it?
See,
And
you
if
need.
you join the dots, if you join the dots with the narcotic economy, does Biren Singh have a stake in that narcotic economy? Does the center have a have some kind of a stake with the narcotic economy? Are there some extraneous forces which are very active because of which Biren Singh is speechless, because of which the center is speechless? We need to expose those reasons, if at all they exist. Yes, sir.
See, that involvement of higher authorities in this entire drug trade was pointed out by none other than a very decorated police officer. And before this violence erupted in the state, she had, I'm talking about Brinda, who had, in an affidavit in a court, had pointed out that there are people in the higher ups who are, obstructing investigation into a narco case. So definitely there are involvement of higher authorities in this drug trade. And then we know the when two members of the Itocha gang was arrested in Delhi, apparently one of them was a relative of a very powerful minister. So there is definitely a link there. And you need, we in the northeast, this since BJP came to the power, it has become a fashion to say we are waging war against drugs. And all the state, Assam government has also announced that this so-called war against drugs. Earlier Manipur government has also announced this kind of war. But this word, despite continuing for now 3 4 years, we are not seeing any visible result of drug trade coming down. And even during this entire period of turmoil, uh, there is no let off in this drug business. It's continue, business is as usual there, despite all violence and everything. And as Bablu has pointed out, now there will be even the poppy cultivation is going on and harvesting will go on. So and it's not just it's not just one community who is benefiting from this. The the people, in very very influential people in both the communities are definitely involved in this. At least there are strong allegations of their involvement. So there has to be a, neutral probe, high level neutral probe, maybe judicial inquiry or whatever, because we don't know where this trail leads to. It might lead to even Delhi. We never know. So and that's why maybe somebody sitting in Delhi is pulling the string. These are now in the realm of allegation, but these allegations need to be seriously probed, and
Absolutely.
probed by some neutral authority, not CBI, not even this central agencies. There should be some court monitored judicial inquiry or something like that. If we have to really go, deep into this problem. So that is one part. And as to why this problem is lingering and all these things, the, see, now it's almost 5 months, and this political leadership, if you see, is dominated by one party in Manipur. It's BJP, either in Kuki areas or in Meitei areas. It's the BJP which is the dominating political force. And as a dominating political force, it has a responsibility towards the people, towards its voters. Uh, Now, in these 5 months, BJP leadership in Delhi hasn't able to, ask their CLP, their legislative party members, their MLAs to sit together. All the BJP MLAs from either Meitei communities or the Kuki communities, they should be made to sit together and sort out the differences. There is, apart from this drug problems and all, there is also, many say that this is a ego fight between some political leaders. So if it is so, it has to be, sorted out there, because we know
Absolutely.
the trigger point was just before the violence erupted. When the chief minister was about to go to Churatanpur to open a gym, and that gym was burned down. So, there were lots of, within the BJP, there were lots of tug of war going on. And prior to this eruption of this ethnic violence. So definitely there could be some political angle to it also. So BJP should try and first bring some kind of, understanding among their legislators.
Right. I'll give the last word to you, Suhas. That we've identified the problems. Bablu and General Consum also explained as to where the security forces and how they are managing the things. What would you really say now? That is there any hope left for Manipur, or Manipur will be left to its own fate?
Unfortunately, I do not see any hope. I'm not what's sounding pessimistic. I'm just being practical. It is, I think, very unfair for us. It's almost too utopian for us to expect that there are any actions with respect to um, drug trafficking. You have seen the picture, Ulta Punjab, and we have seen so many reports what has happened. Day before yesterday, sorry, yesterday, 800 crores drugs we are recovered in Gujarat, which doesn't even share any borders with the territories. I mean, they come to the sea, etc. So I am not optimistic about any kind of action being taken on the drug issue. It survives because of the acquiescence, participation of the forces which are very powerful across the spectrum, possibly from Delhi or Gujarat, all over the country to Manipur. So that's one aspect which I see. Because it will continue. It has a life on its own. Not only in Manipur, everywhere it has a life on its own. The
Right.
second thing which I see is uh, Manipur is a situation which was not seen anywhere in India from 1947 till today. You have never seen a situation where civilians we are armed because of the inaction or participation of the government. So if you look at the data, you have 5,000 arms which are lost, given away, whatever, and 500,000 ammunitions in a state where insurgent groups, the mainstream insurgent groups, have not come to any kind of dialogue. So when
Absolutely.
you look at this situation, everybody is armed to the teeth. It is even different from Kashmir. It's different from Assam riots or even 92, 93 riots. Because in 92, 93, Manipur police, we are not partisan. Today, they
Absolutely.
have been divided between the communities. So when you have 45% of the security forces who have a distrust and there is a conflict with this central security forces, law enforcement becomes impossible because the central security forces do not have any idea about the topography of the region. So law enforcement becomes very difficult, and therein comes the problem. If you use excessive force, if there are incidents of human rights violations, and of course we will raise the issue, then security forces are very hesitant what kind of force they should use. And if you use, for example, firearms and etc., to control the mobs, then the contours will completely change. So that's why there is no political direction as to why it is there. The last point, never forget that Meitei insurgents have not come to talks with the government of India, and like all the governments in the world, this government also uses its own divide and policy. So the moment you have riots between the Kukis and the Meiteis, it's very clear the movement of the Meitei insurgent groups have been limited. So there is a strategic importance into it. So when you look into the drug trafficking, involvement of the civilians, everybody being armed to the teeth, then of course insurgency issue where security forces might say international elements are involved in it, then you only see that nobody can control the situation. So this has to continue for some time, even if you do not like it. And I see that this will continue for some more time. And Chief Minister, even if his story is over, he will still be there, not because he's liked, not because BJP will win, because Manipur has become the only basket case in India on which nobody wants to take the responsibility. That's the biggest crisis, that nobody, Prime Minister, Home Minister, any governor, anybody, even if you possibly appoint me as the governor or any one of us here, I don't think we are in a position to address this kind of intricate problems. So that's the
Absolutely.
biggest crisis.
So it wouldn't be wrong to say that Manipur is actually beyond repair right now. And what I can see as a complete picture, that there is a lack of political will. The chief minister has not bothered to get the arms and the ammunitions recovered. There are no answers to the narcotic economy. If everything is so clear that there is a 50,000 crore, drugs business which is involved, why can't the center take up cudgels to pull up people? Why can't the chief minister pull up people on this? uh, I think it's a crystal clear case, but yes, complete lack of political will to address the issue, perhaps to come to the conclusion that Manipur is not at all politically significant now for the current dispensation, whether it is the center, whether it is the state government, and as what Suhas said, that nobody can really address the problems right now as what Manipur is facing. Uh, Very unfortunate though, but let's see all what happens. And I just hope that the state doesn't descend into further darkness, into further abyss of violence and terror. Thank you so much. It was wonderful having all of you on the program, General Consum, Bablu Loitingham, Samir, and Suhas. It was wonderful having you on the program. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion: subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to the Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to the Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.